What you're seeing on your screens are distressing clips of the COVID-19 situation in hospitals in Manila and nearby provinces. At the Santa Ana Hospital in Manila, patients had to be attended to in the parking lot with hospital beds already occupied. In Pampanga, a detachable tent has been set up to extend a hospital's emergency room, while in Bulacan, patients had to wait 6 hours inside ambulances just to be examined. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. Let's start with hospitals both inside and outside the capital, scrambling to accommodate a surge of new COVID-19 cases. Many have again resorted to putting up modular tents outside their facilities. Shiloh Francisco with The Big Story.
Hospitals outside Metro Manila are not spared from the influx of COVID-19 patients in the last few weeks. The Bulacan Medical Center has put up makeshift tents to accommodate more patients.
All beds in this triage area outside the hospital are all occupied. That's why some patients have no choice but to wait inside ambulances. According to the hospital, due to a surge in patients, some of them wait in line for up to 6 hours.
From a low of 1,000 just last month, active COVID-19 cases in Bulacan have ballooned to almost 3,000 now. Hospital officials say they could still allocate up to 100 more COVID-19 beds. But the problem lies with manpower.
Nadodoble yung trabaho natin dun sa triage at saka sa emergency room kasi nga dun sa dami ng walk-in, kailangan uunahin mo yung mas severe na cases.
In Pampanga, the Jose B. Lingad Memorial General Hospital has advised patients to avoid walk-in. Detachable tents have been placed outside the hospital as an extension of the emergency room for COVID patients. In Santa Ana Hospital in Manila, some COVID patients are being attended to at the parking lot. All of its 7 ICU beds for COVID patients are occupied. The Philippine Hospital Association says that medical facilities are also challenged by increasing cases of other infectious diseases like dengue and influenza due to the rainy season.
Ang simptomas niya, kaparehas ng simptomas ng COVID. So yan ang nangpapagulo ngayon.
Almora adds that government hospitals are usually the ones bearing the brunt when there is a surge in COVID cases.
Sa mga private hospitals na malaki ngayon, hindi nila pinapaantay yung mga pasyente gaano sa labas. Nire-refer sa mga government COVID centers.
The group has advised patients to contact the One Hospital Command Center to help them find medical facilities faster. Shiloh Francisco, VR1 News.
What's the situation in hospitals, private hospitals in particular? To give us an update, joining us tonight, Jose Rene de Grano, President of the Private Hospital Association of the Philippines. Dr. de Grano, welcome to The Big Story.
Yes, Robbie, good evening.
Sir, nakikita naman po natin yung images from various hospitals on top of surging numbers, 30,000 today, no? New cases. On top of surging numbers, we also know it's dengue season, it's lepto season. Kamusta po sa mga ospital natin?
Well, talaga nakikita natin na there's really an increase in the number of cases. Yesterday, it's 12,000. Now it's 13,000. And then the percentage of the number of critically occupied facilities has increased by another 10 number of facilities, no? So especially in National Capital Region, no? But this is where we should make use of the One Hospital Command, because if you will note, 95% to 96% of the cases are still manageable in the isolation facilities. And so the hospitals should tackle only the cases which are moderate, severe, and critical.
Okay, in the meantime, sir, if you don't mind, I just want to take your reaction as well, because habang nangyayari po lahat ng ito, best na po namin kayo na guest. Every time we talk to you, we talk about issues on resources as well for the private hospitals. We talked about yung utang sa inyo ng PhilHealth. We talk about the lack of manpower. And then, backdropping all of this, now balita ngayong linggo, COA report on the DOH, inefficient use of funds. How does that strike you at the private hospital section, sir?
Well, that is the function of the COA, no? But then the investigation should proceed kung talaga bang merong mga problems diyan sa disbursement of their funds. So yun ang isang probably nagiging problem, especially for the government facilities, ano. But right now dito naman sa ating unless the PhilHealth funds are affected there also, sa private hospitals naman, we're just waiting for the PhilHealth to reimburse our claims.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, Dr. Degrano of the Private Hospitals Association. The country has breached a grim new benchmark today, with single-day case counts climbing to its highest ever since the start of the pandemic. The big number tonight is 13,177. This is the number of new COVID cases today after 2 straight days above 12,000. Daily cases hit 15,000 in early April, but more than 3,000 of those were backlogs. This makes today's daily caseload the highest so far. Positivity rate also hit another record high at 23.6%. And these are the other big stories tonight. Despite the surge in cases nationwide, 3 areas will see their quarantine classifications eased beginning August 16. These are Laguna, Iloilo City, and Cagayan de Oro. The Commission on Audit has issued a clarification in the meantime, saying the Health Department's deficiencies in COVID funds do not point to corruption, not necessarily. And leaning on the towering Santiago sisters, the Chery Tiggo crossovers are the first champions of the maiden professional volleyball league in the Philippines. These big stories after the break. Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. Cebu's COVID death toll has tripled over the last 2 months. It is already considering a mass burial moving forward. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
With its death toll still climbing, Cebu City is now getting overwhelmed. In the last 4 weeks, the city reported around 150 deaths, reaching the 1,000 casualty mark and causing a week-long waiting time in crematoriums. City Councilor Joel Garganera says community deaths have nearly tripled in the last 2 months. If the trend continues, Garganera says they may have to seriously consider mass burials of the dead. IATF Visayas Chief Mel Feliciano says cemeteries in the city are now planning ahead.
Meron na ring in-offer yung natin, ng mga Roman Catholic cemeteries, 4 sila. So 240 each. So magkakaroon ng 960, no? 960 remains na ma-accommodate, and this is good enough.
Feliciano hopes that local interventions would prevent COVID from filling up all those empty cemetery lots.
Lahat yan gagamitin, no? Even if you will have 10 deaths a day, so it will take probably months, no? 3 months to fill those up.
The Health Department of Central Visayas believes there's already a community transmission of the more infectious Delta variant in Cebu City. That means the officials can no longer trace the sources of the infections.
Yung mga nag-positive sa ating Delta variant are actually people who has no history of travel, neither do they have histories of contacts with a confirmed positive Delta variant person.
Healthcare is also nearing breaking point. 2 facilities in Cebu City are already at full capacity. 4 have hit critical levels, 3 are at high risk, while 6 are in moderate risk. The Cebu Freeman reports that roads of 2 hospitals have already been closed down. to give way to cars of patients waiting to be admitted. The government says lines today are still manageable but expected to grow. Similar to what happened last week, where incoming patients waited in their cars connected to oxygen tank. Feliciano says if the situation escalates further, that's when he will recommend the implementation of an ECQ. I'm Jacob Lazaro and we are One News.
The IATF has downgraded quarantine classifications for Laguna, Iloilo City, and Cagayan de Oro City starting August 16. Several other provinces will also be under MECQ from August 16 to 31. These would include Apayao, Ilocos Norte, Bulacan, Cavite, Lucena City, Rizal, Aklan, Iloilo Province, Lapu-Lapu City, Mandawi City, and Cebu City. The NCR will stay under ECQ until August 20, while Bataan will continue to be under strict lockdown up until August 22. The IATF has also extended the travel restrictions on 10 countries for 15 more days due to the growing threat of the Delta variant. Countries part of the travel ban: India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Meanwhile, in a rare move, the Commission on Audit has issued a clarification on its report on the Health Department's deficiencies in handling pandemic funds. The COA says their audit report does not find funds lost to corruption. The Commission explained that mentioned deficiencies in the 67.3 billion peso COVID-19 fund merely refers to the lack of supporting documents which the DOH may still submit. Of that amount, 42 billion pesos, according to Health Secretary Francisco Duque, was downloaded for the procurement of test kits, PPEs, and other medical equipment. Duque says he already met with COA Chairman Mike Aguinaldo earlier today to explain the agency's side and to present supporting documents.
Yung sinasabi dyan ng COA, hindi naman sinabing nawala sa corruption o ninakaw. Sinabi lang may deficiencies. Kaya kailangan linawin.
Telco challenger Doto Telecom says it has hit 3 million subscribers, or it will hit 3 million subscribers soon, just 5 months after launching. The company is upping its game with plans of entering the broadband space. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez front seat to the story.
Less than half a year since its commercial launch in March, Doto Telecom says it's on track to hit 3 million subscribers.
There is an appetite for better telco services, and it has to be very honest. It has exceeded expectations, so much so that we're actually also scrambling to make sure that we have enough SIMs for the demand.
Udena is owned by President Duterte's ally tycoon Dennis Uy. It first launched in Cebu and Davao and has committed to covering at least 37% of the population with a minimum broadband speed of 27 Mbps. Telco also told One News in an exclusive interview that they're working to start offering home broadband services next year.
Yes, we will be entering the broadband space. We're actually doing what is known as a friendly user test already for that.
Meanwhile, Doto Telecom has banded together with telco giants PLDT and Globe to implement the Mobile Portability Act. The three set up a joint venture called TCI, or Telecommunications Connectivity Incorporated, that will make sure subscribers can keep their numbers even when they switch service providers. The move is seen as potentially benefiting Doto Telecom the most, as users won't have to go through the hassle of changing numbers if they decide to try Doto. The Mobile Portability Act takes effect on September 30. I'm Pamela Vasquez and we are One News.
For the big story in sports, the DPVL has crowned its champion in its first season as a professional league. Gretchen Ho takes us through the action.
It was a come-from-behind win as the Chery Tiggo crossovers clinched the first professional volleyball championship in the country. The Santiago sisters led Chery Tiggo once again as they dethroned powerhouse Creamline Cool Smashers in the 2021 PVL Open Conference. Down 2 sets in Game 3, the crossovers dug deep to keep their championship hopes alive, winning 3 straight sets in the 5-setter, 23-25, 20-25, 25-21, 25-22, and 15-8. The older Dindin unleashed 32 points, while the younger Jaja exploded with 26 points. Jaja Santiago is hailed as the most valuable player, both for the regular season and the final series.
Akin kasi hindi ko talaga ina-expect any awards. Ang sa akin lang lagi kong iniisip, makuha lang namin talaga tong championship title na to. For me, this award, I want to give it to my sister and all of my teammates.
She was also awarded as the best middle blocker along with Petrogas's Ria Meneses. Eliza Valdez of Creamline and Myla Pablo of Petrogas won the Best Outside Spiker Awards, while Kat Tolentino of Choco Mucho bagged the Best Opposite Spiker honor. Creamline's Gia Morado was named Best Setter, while Kat Arado of Petrogas was selected as Best Libero. Volleyball fans shouldn't wait too long for its next conference. That's according to PVL President Ricky Palou.
We're looking at seeing if we can have another conference sometime in October. But of course, this will depend on how the situation is as far as the COVID pandemic is.
Time for another quick break. When we return, the Health Department has thumbed down a proposal to suspend data privacy to strengthen contact tracing efforts. An online seller who goes live on Facebook has gone viral. Her viewers are going by the thousands. Thing is, she's not getting a single mine for the items she's selling. Details after the break.
Wala na ako nakita na mine. Puro na lang kayo pa-shout out.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Rob. As COVID-19 cases continue to rise in the country, LGUs have been asked to improve their contact tracing efforts. A business group, however, has a different idea on how to address the matter. Greg Gregorio has the story.
More Filipinos are testing positive for COVID-19. This has made it harder for local governments to do contact tracing. LGUs have been urged to conduct active case finding and robust contact tracing. But if you ask the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they have a different suggestion.
Kung isususpend mo yung Data Privacy Act only for COVID cases, hindi mo kailangan bantayan ang lahat ng tao. Hindi ko maintindihan, nagawa na nating isuspend ang mga civil liberties, pati nga exercise, suspended sa bill. Bakit hindi na isuspend yun?
The group laments that billions have been spent on contact tracing, but the same issues keep on repeating itself. The DOH, however, was quick to turn down the proposal. The agency notes that this was already discussed with the IATF last year. They continue to stress the importance of the right to privacy of those that tested positive for COVID-19.
We need to uphold this kasi karapatan pang tao po yan, yung privacy na yan. So kailangan, ayon po sa batas, kolektahan lang kung ano ang necessary or importante na impormasyon and ibibigay lang sa proper authorities.
With this in mind, the DOH instead reiterated their call for LGUs to strengthen contact tracing, something that was also ordered by the Interior Department.
Napaka-importante ma-identify na kagad natin itong mga tao, lalo na mga asymptomatic, kasi yung asymptomatic talagang hindi nila alam, carrier sila, lumalakad sila sa loob ng bahay, lahat nahahawaan o lalabas sa kapitbahay nahahawaan. So kung magkakaroon tayo ng active case finding, doon pa lang po malalaman na natin at may lalabas na po natin sa bahay nila para mag-quarantine na kagad or mag-isolate.
For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
The mega vaccination center at the Nayong Filipino complex is now up and running. Government and private sector-led inoculation site in Parañaque was launched Thursday. Members of the National Task Force were present to inspect the area, which caters to individual vaccinees and those with vehicles under a drive-through option. Registration is a must before going. The venue, now called Soler ICTSI Foundation Vaccination Center, seeks to vaccinate 15,000 people a day. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez commended the vaccine site. He called it one of the best he's seen so far.
Ang ganda ng system ng it's very one of the best sa atin kasi they copied yung system ng Arizona. Very systematic, touchless, and fully computerized. And nakaka-impress talagang world-class ang dating.
President Duterte has accepted the resignation of Budget Secretary Wendell Avisado. The palace said Avisado stepped down due to medical reasons. DBM Undersecretary Tina Rose Maricanda will be designated as officer in charge of the Budget Department. Avisado's resignation and the corresponding shakeup in the agency comes at a crucial time when government is trying to find additional funds for its COVID-19 response. COMELEC will be allowing online reactivation of voter status. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez says deactivated voters may file for reactivation by submitting their forms to an election officer via email. But those with no biometrics will have to personally head to local COMELEC offices. Voters with deactivated status are those who were not able to vote in 2 consecutive elections. Meanwhile, the COMELEC en banc is considering extending the September 30 deadline for voter registration, but the agency is still ironing out the details. For now, COMELEC says it has already surpassed its target number of registered voters.
Free Britney! Britney Spears' father, Jamie, has agreed to step down as her conservator after 13 years. Britney's lawyer, Matthew Rosengart, called the surprising turn a major victory and another step towards justice. It is not easy as it seems, though. Jamie did not give a timetable for his departure. He said he'll only do so after several lingering issues are resolved. Mr. Spears vowed to work with the court and Rosengart for an orderly transition to a new conservator. But as it stands, he is still in control of her daughter's $60 million estate. Britney's camp, meanwhile, seeks to investigate Mr. Spears' conduct during the controversial arrangement. They want to press charges against him for conservatorship abuse. Nick Garcia, We Are One News.
Coldplay once sang, when you get what you want, but not what you need. Well, that's what happened to an ukay-ukay owner online. Daisy Cabantog Lopez of Cavite has turned to Facebook Live to carry on with her livelihood during the pandemic. Her live audience reached hundreds of thousands, and at least one mine from them is expected. But alas, nobody bought even a single item. The now viral hour-long live selling turned into a shout-out session instead. Although frustrated, Daisy was all game and gave what her viewers and fans wanted.
O, diba? Ano ba? Ano ba ginagawa? Puro kayo tambay. Wala na ako nakita nag-mine. Puro na lang kayo pa-shout out. Gigigil ako sa inyo. Wala nag-mine ha. Umabot na naman tayo ng 16.8 viewers.
And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again on Monday, 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, get vaccinated, Philippines. Sa ngalan po ni Gretchen Ho, ako po si Robbie Alampay. We are One News. Good evening.